Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Winter's Wish, continuing Tominari's route, and apparently we're out in the woods looking for our mom, I guess? Or just trying to figure out what happened to her. I'm just wondering if I can't. Is it wrong of me to be like, I hope our mom's not alive? I don't know why that feels weird to say. I mean, it feels weird to say because, like, of course you want your mom to be alive, but it would feel weird that we went through the whole game and then our mom's been hiding in the woods somewhere. Like, like I feel like that would just be like, why now? I don't know. But we'll probably find out things about what happened and maybe discover that Tominari was the form folk that our parents created. Because I'm just saying, I really feel like that's coming down the pike. But the next day, once we'd finished our work for the day in the village, we set forth into the woods. They told us not to. Hope it's all right that we came here without telling anyone. Well, no, but yes, but no, but yes. No, because you were told not to go into the woods, so bad. But yes, because you were told not to go into the woods, so it's better than telling people you were going to the woods, because then they'd be like, you were told not to go into the woods. And then if they find you now, you could be like, oh, it slipped my mind, I forgot. You know? As opposed to, we're going to go in the woods, and they're like, no, bad, don't go into the woods. And then you go into the woods anyway. And then you got no cover story. Can't cover your ass that way.
They would have stopped us if we said we were heading into the forest. A lot of people have gone missing here, according to the village chief.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't like, no, you can't go into the forest because we'll banish you. It's like, don't go into the forest because you're going to die. All right, cool. We're going to find out why. True. Guess we'll just have to be careful. We pushed on ahead, making marks on the trees while we talked. This way, getting back home would be a breeze. Based on what I've heard, my family vanished after entering the forest. Meaning, something either happened to them in the forest or just outside of it.
Let's start by taking a look around then.
Tominari peered around while whispering this. There were densely packed trees as far as the eye could see, typical of a forest. It'd probably take hours to fully search a place like this. Maybe even months if things don't go smoothly.
We can handle this by searching a little bit of it at a time.
A little bit of it at a time. Wow.
For now, why don't you hold my hand so you don't get lost?
Oh, you just want to hold my hand. Tominari held his hand out to me with a smile, not acting the least bit gloomy. He was so utterly dependable. He's right. All we can do right now is keep pushing ahead. That's right. Totally forgot we've told him that we loved him, so it's totally fine for him to be like, you should just hold my hand. And it's like, of course I'm going to hold your hand. Stop it. Whereas before, for a hot second, I was like, look, he's trying to hold our hand because he's in love with... Oh, right, we told you we love you too, so never mind, it's cool. I can't let every single little thing get to me. Sure. We took off again, walking hand in hand. There wasn't a single emotional imprint to be found, perhaps because hardly anyone ever set foot here, but we also said there were none in the village anyway, so. It did seem like animals lived here, though, or at least I saw no signs of that. Wait. Weird. That doesn't make sense. It did seem like animals lived here, though, or at least I saw no signs of them. I mean, that makes sense and also doesn't make sense. Animals live here. I didn't see any proof, though. I mean, obviously animals live in the woods. But like not seeing signs of them could be an indicator like, oh, they're good at hiding because like they're woodland animals. They're not going to be like a cat or a dog just lying in the road. You know what I mean? They're good at hiding from predators and shit. So not seeing signs of them is like, okay, it's probably animals here. But also you'd think you'd see signs of it. So I'm not really sure the fucking point this was trying to make. It's just really worded weirdly. After walking for quite some time, I caught a glimpse of something familiar. Black threads were coiled around the tree branches like ivy. Well, it's funny, too, because that's what I was thinking. She's like, oh, I don't see any emotional imprints. And I'm like, there were none in the village. But if people go missing in the woods, it would make sense that there were emotional imprints like this. There was no doubt about it. They were emotional imprints. Tominari, there were emotional imprints on the trees over that way.
Really? Do you see them anywhere else?
Let me see. My observations showed that the emotional imprints seemed to be following some animal tracks. There were hardly any emotional imprints nearby, but further down, there were so many they covered the trees. In other words, the further ahead we go, the more emotional imprints there are. So something evil lives out there. Maybe there's something just up ahead.
Let's go check it out. I'm so glad you're here. Without you, I'm not sure I would have ever found any clues in a forest this big.
We pressed onward, looking even more carefully than before. Other than the emotional imprints, nothing looks out of place. Why are there so many emotional imprints in a place with so few people? There's just as many here as there are in Samurai Town. But remember, people go missing here, so these are probably could be the emotional imprints of the people who were disappeared. Something horrible must have happened here. Hopefully nothing related to my mom. Maybe it is your mom.
Uh,
I heard a groan beside me. I immediately glanced over and saw Tominari pressing his temples in pain. He hadn't stopped walking, but he looked a bit pale. Because remember earlier in like one of the earlier parts, we said something to him or whatever, and he got like a weird, oh no, I just had a headache or whatever. And it's like, there's some kind of, because he didn't have memories, you know, like there's something in there trying to bust out. This is again, he's got something, he's coming having a memory fugue thing. Like he's having something, memories are trying to pop out. And if he is the form folk that our parents made and we all disappeared together, this area is probably like giving him flashbacks and those memories are trying to come out. Tominari, does your head hurt?
yeah, just a little. I think I'm a bit tired.
Speaking of, didn't you say you had a headache a little while ago, Tominari? If it's too much to deal with, we can just try again tomorrow.
Nah, I'm fine. Let's keep going. I can't waste any time.
Is he okay? Tominari quickly pushed on ahead, dismissing my concerns. We followed the trail of emotional imprints through the forest when... What's going on here? I found myself at a loss for words when we first arrived. Any ordinary person would have seen a completely normal forest. My eyes, however, saw an unusual number of black threads covering all the trees. Calling it a nest of emotional imprints was almost an understatement. Hey, Tominari, there's a ton of emotional imprints here. Something must have happened here. We wouldn't know what without some investigation, but I shuddered at how ominous it was. Tominari stood still, not responding to a single thing I'd said. His hand barely gripped mine. His threads were also flickering the color that signified agony. Tominari?
Spacey.
He finally seemed to notice me when I looked over at him, concerned. He worked up a smile and grinned to put me at ease.
Sorry for worrying you. Let's hurry up and search the area now that we're here.
Tominari let go of my hand and started stumbling around on his own. He looked exactly like someone delirious with a fever. What's wrong with him? I chased after Tominari in a hurry, but he then crouched down in front of a huge tree. Don't mind my downloads.
Check this out, Spacey.
It's the Switch sale. So before I load it on my game, I'm like, let me just like pop in there and see if anything on my wish list is on sale. So no games for us. I thought of it because my stack of games that's sitting there for when this one and Sympathy Kiss ends, there's really, out of the 4 games I have stacked up, there's really only one we can play. And it's like, damn, we get like we're getting a lot of games localized, but a lot of them are, it's either Voltage games, which we can't play, or they're P-Cube games, which we can play some of it. Like a couple of chapters. We can only do like a sneaky peek. You can't play the whole thing. So there's really only one like Axis Idea Factory game that's there. Because the other Axis game that I have is the same developers of Bustafellows, and we couldn't play that. So we're not going to be able to play Despair Drops either. So it's like, I mean, I'm like, fuck, we got, because like, we do have a route after this, but our other one's going down. I'm like, weird. Wow. We're going back to drought territory. I mean, for you guys, for me, I got a stack of fucking games that I'm never going to get through because I can't play them with you guys. And like, but like, shit. So just noodle on that for a while. Like, the fuck are we gonna do? So I think 2026 will be a better year for them because like most of the ones that we got announcements for that were like, yeah, 2025 games, all these games, they just kept getting pushed to like either the fall or 2026. So like we don't have a lot. Like Axis did announce a lot, you know, but they all seem to have gotten pushed. So it's kind of like, I mean, And like so far, we've got a couple, like the only ones coming out at the moment are P-Cube and Voltage. So it's problematic. Tis problematic. Not to say we can't play P-Cube games. It's just we can play them, but you have to know we're only going to be able to play so many chapters and then we're going to have to stop. So, and then me personally, I would like to be able to finish the game before I start another one and then I'm in the middle of that. So it's like, you know, but it is, I mean, it's still an option. I just haven't been playing them just because, like, I don't know. But anyway, Tominari pointed at the tree's roots when I stood next to him. A leaden stake was sticking out of it. Not something you'd expect to see in a lush forest like this. What is it?
That's a kunai, a projectile weapon used by ninjas. There must have been a battle here based on the sword marks on the surrounding trees. I'm sure of it.
A battle? I wondered this out loud while studying the kunai. I could tell the blade had black stains on it. At first I thought it might have been rust, but maybe it was blood. I was assuming blood, and then when she said black stains, I was like, well, maybe it's emotional imprints, but no, blood. Does that mean my mom was murdered here? Possibly. I mean, someone was, and your parents ran into the forest. Something happened to your mom. Tominari's freaking out. Well, he's got all this head thing because his memories are trying to come back. He's got to be the form folk that our parents created. The worst possible scenario I could imagine filled my head. If that's what happened here, the surge of emotional imprints made perfect sense. And again, maybe like if it was Hibie, because he's the one that hates Hakuseki clan people, right? And so it would make sense because I feel like he's the big bad and he's gonna come back in this because he's made a little bit of an appearance ever since Yoichi. He's made little, so he's a common thread. And it would make sense if he attacked our mom and then we're all here, all four of us were here, and Tominari is like, I'll protect her. And then my dad grabbed me and ran away to protect me. Because, like, my mother wasn't going to grab me and run away because, like, Hibie would have been after her. Or whoever. I'm just throwing Hibie in there because it makes sense in my brain. And, I mean, I feel like it's logical. It's a logical conclusion, even if it's wrong. Like, so Dad would have grabbed us and pieced out. Tominari would have been the best person to protect her. And then, but it didn't, but you're trying to fight a god. He wasn't a vessel, so he wouldn't have had the snow sacrament, right? So it would have been very difficult. And Mom dies somehow, and then who knows when, Yoshimune finds Tominari and then turns him into a vessel, whatever, and then, there you go. There you go. That's our plot. Did I read that? The worst possible scenario I can imagine filled my head. If that's what happened here, the surge of emotional imprints made perfect sense. Someone who died with a lot of resentment and unfinished business would certainly leave this many behind when they passed. I don't know if your mom would have that much resentment and unfinished business, yes, but resentment? Maybe.
It's a bit too early to assume that, don't you think? I can't really say until we have more information. Calm down. We need to gather more information on the kunai for now.
Tominari then abruptly reached out for the weapon. The moment his fingertips touched it,
Uh,
Tominari let out a yelp, then froze like he'd been struck by lightning. Memories? Tominari, what's wrong?
my head feels like it's gonna split open.
Yeah, those memories coming back. Panicked, I looked over at Tominari. All of the color had drained from his face. The almost inhuman tone of his skin involuntarily reminded me of Mr. Kashima's dead body. Tominari! Tominari! There was no way I could stay calm after linking those two things together. I had a feeling that touching him would make him feel worse, so I just desperately called his name. Tominari was clutching himself to hold in his sobs and didn't seem to hear me. How come why is he in so much pain? His memories want to get the fuck out. We should have just gone back to the village for a little while instead of Oh, I gotta scream. Okay. I can't scream with an accent, but there you go, screaming. I can't scream with an accent. Tominari suddenly fell to the ground, cradling his head. Tominari! But then Tominari was so still, it almost seemed like I'd imagined all the distress he'd just been in. He'd stopped groaning and was simply staring at a spot on the ground, his eyes open. I'd be concerned he's dead. We know he's not, but even though I could see a cold sweat forming on his brow, seeing the change in his behavior made me nervous. Tominari, are you okay now? When I gingerly placed my hand on his shoulder, Tominari quietly put his hand on top of mine. He'd already stopped shivering. His face was still pallid, but there was a glimmer of light in his eyes now. Do you think the memories burst through?
That's okay. Don't worry. I'm fine now.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. See? Can't you tell?
Tominari then gave my hand a quick squeeze and smiled cheerfully. So what the fuck was all those dramatics about? He was acting a little odd, though. Uh-oh. Instead of grasping my hand, he took it and placed it on his cheek like he was trying to be sure of something. His eyebrows were also furrowed plaintively. Oh, maybe because he's like remembered shit and he's like, she's gonna hate me when I say it's my fault your mom's dead. Why is he looking at me like that? Or he's possessed. We don't know. I knew for sure he was Tominari, but he looked like a total stranger. Although nervous, I continued staring into his eyes. Then he said,
My memories came back.
okay. I was like, you're not possessed, are you? No, it's the memory. Okay. That's what we assumed, and that's what we assumed the first time you had a headache was like, memories are coming back. Because wasn't it when we got to the village? After we met the chief and everything, it's like, oh, my head hurts. And he's like, no, I'm cool. So it's like, whatever. And it's like, because you remember this village. Yep. For a second, I didn't understand the quiet statement he just made. I'd heard that when vessels were born, their memories of being an object were sealed away. It wasn't entirely out of the question for his memories to come back, since his heart had already been freed. Still, why now? That was the one thing I wondered about before congratulating him on having his memories back. We know why. The headache he'd experienced earlier, I realized, had been a sign. But why now? Did something cause it?
Yes. A lot of things. This place, and the village, were the key to unlocking my memories.
What do you mean?
You mentioned yesterday that you lived in the village with your family a long time ago. I thought your family included a form folk. That form folk was me.
No! Did I do a good job? Was that convincing? Like, fucking pegged that. The second, like, the other form folk was like, oh yeah, then they created a form folk. And I was like, wait, you're not trying to tell me it was me, because that doesn't make any sense. Was it Tominari? And then it's like, and then they had a daughter. Yeah, okay. Tominari's the form folk, 100%. Again, we didn't even need to get to that point. I didn't know our parents made a form folk, but what have I been saying from the beginning? Like, especially with how instant he was. Like, look, I just like you from the very beginning and showed you the object I was made of is because something in your brain knew. Okay? Like, not from the very beginning, from the moment we started the game, but when we got into his route, just him being, I'm like, he's locked for a reason, and he's being weird. He's totally clingy with we knew him somehow. And here you go. Here you go. So, they weren't hiding it that well, but you didn't know exactly what was going to go down. And then as soon as that form folk told us the story, it was like, bingo! What? His confession didn't sink in at all, unfortunately. Tominari was part of my family? And does that mean he was originally a form folk in the same way as Kyoshiro? That should have also been a clue. I mean, that was also a clue, too, when they were like, Kyoshiro was my form folk, blah, blah, blah. And then you get here and the form folks like, oh, yeah, that family created one. And you're like, uh-huh, okay, that's why Kyoshiro was foreshadowing. No matter how many times I went over it in my head, it wasn't sinking in. It was all so sudden, I didn't know left from right. Well, your left is on your left and your right's on your right.
I told you I was born as a vessel from an Inro, right?
Yeah.
The Inro. It was a gift to Munenori from your mother, Setsu.
That's adorable. You're like my brother. Oh, that makes your route so much hotter now. Spacey's into it. My mom?
I have memories of living with all of you in the village now. You probably felt familiar when we first met, because those days were etched into the very foundation of my memories. You don't remember anything about when we lived together, do you?
No. That was the biggest reason why Tominari's revelation didn't sit right with me. No matter how hard I combed through my memories, I couldn't recall anything like that. But you couldn't remember living in the village either, so makes sense. My oldest memory is of living with just my dad. I feel like your mother might have put a spell on you or some shit. I don't remember my mom or Tominari at all. Why, though? It's like I have amnesia or something. Well, ding ding, somebody's got amnesia! Right, bingo card. Who has bingo now for that? Like, somebody always has motherfucking amnesia. There you go.
Maybe you forgot because something devastating happened to you.
Did something devastating happen? This area that we're in would indicate so. Then, Tominari, do you know why my mom disappeared?
Yeah, I'll tell you about everything that happened here 12 years ago.
I'm assuming we're Tominari.
That day,
Because I wouldn't be going to a nearby town doing shopping by myself at 7.
I went to a nearby city to do some shopping by myself. When I came back to the village after accomplishing my task, I found a large crowd of villagers gathered at the entrance. What's more, they all looked quite nervous, which bothered me in a way I couldn't quite pinpoint. Can I ask what happened?
Look, he's still dressed exactly the same. I love that. They didn't bother changing his sprite for the past. You knew he wasn't always dressed like this. Oh, Dominari! Something terrible's happened! Your whole family's left the village!
What do you mean?
Okay, so Tominari wasn't with us when we pieced out. We ran away and left him behind? That's so mean. There probably wasn't any time.
Here's what I gathered after asking for more details. First, Setsu, Spacey's mother, dashed out of the village in a panic and headed in the direction of the woods. Apparently, the villagers weren't too concerned at that point. Setsu had lived in the village for a long time and knew how dangerous the woods were. Because of this, no one suspected anything was amiss.
She knows how dangerous the woods are, so nobody thought it was weird that she ran into them? That's like, you know how dangerous alligators are, so I don't say anything weird that you're playing with them. It's fine.
Then, one bell hour later, when Munenori came home from working in the fields, he went red with anger and fled the house as well. It seems Setsu still hadn't come home. After asking everyone where Setsu had gone, Munenori immediately followed her into the woods. No, I should probably chase after them. Clearly something happened. Wait, before I do, Spacey may still be at home.
Ah, so then Tominari dragged my ass into the woods. Otherwise, he would have had to like take care of me, and then that would have made our romance really weird. Instead of being like a brother, okay, well, he's a family member, which, fine. Like, it's kind of like, oh, it's just a stranger that we live with, and an adopted family member. That's fine. But, foreign folks, since your parents created him, it's kind of like your brother. But then if he raised you, it would have been kind of like your dad brother, and then your lover, and then that's just crossing a line. Okay? We don't do our dads. Gross. Brothers? Fine. You know, certain characters whose daddies are hot and you're like, it's her dad, not my dad, might be the main character's dad, but at that point I will be like, I won't self-insert. He's not my dad. So I can lust after him. We all know who I'm talking about in that game that I can't mention because it would spoil the ending. But
Spacey! Spacey, are you here? I flung the door open and ran inside the house. However, no one was there to answer my call.
okay, so this is a different house. Not the one that we're living in now with him.
She's gone too. There were numerous signs that someone had just been in the house. Dishes being washed, laundry scattered around. And what's going on here? In the midst of all this, I found a letter that had been left in the parlor. Who on earth would go out of their way to send a letter?
They wrote you it, dumbass.
It looked like it had already been opened. I had folded the creased paper and found the following written on it.
Oh, maybe it's a threatening note then. I thought they went, oh, they kidnapped me.
She's with us. If you want her back, return to the settlement.
So, are you saying the Hakusekis kidnapped me to get my mom back?
Her. Meaning Spacey's been kidnapped. And by the Hakuseki clan, no less.
This also kind of explains Tominari, one, being a little overprotective. Protective, obviously, because he's been part of our family and he kind of knew that. But a little overprotective, especially with us being afraid and our Hakuseki powers and everything and being like, we're going to peace out from Ito and run away because something inside is like, no, your powers are evil. Even though they're not evil, he's like, the people, your clan, no, they tried to kidnap you. Fuck that. Like, I don't know. Like, you're just kind of associating my powers with, like, bad. Not that my powers are bad, but you know what I mean? Like, bad things happen because of your powers. And not like you're going to cause them. It's just, you got kidnapped because you know what I mean? Like, there's just, like, a weird, like, association in your brain.
Setsu and Munenori were always telling me things about the Hakuseki. Setsu had originally been a member of the clan. She broke one of the clan's rules by eloping with Munenori. As a result, her family had been on the run from the Hakuseki clan. Setsu and Munenori must have dashed out in a hurry because of this letter. But why? They both said no one would ever come looking for them. There'd never been any apparent danger since I'd been born as a form folk, which only proved what they'd said. How did the clan find out where we were?
Was it them or was it Hibie luring her out because he'd already killed everyone else? Because didn't in Yoichi's route, didn't he say something about like murdering all of them or that they were all dead and like we were the last one and he wanted to kill us? So like I'm wondering if he killed them all and then was like, aha! Because maybe the Hakuseki clan's like, fuck that bitch. If she ever tries coming back, kick her ass out, but like, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not the ones that did it. I don't know. I still wanna, I mean, it still sucks, but like, wonder if it's Hibie.
No, now's not the time to be thinking about this. I need to meet up with them and quick. Given the time of day they left, I was absolutely sure they'd headed for the settlement where the entire Hakuseki clan lived. Although I'd never actually been there, Setsu had more or less told me where it was.
I mean, especially because we're living fairly close if the Hakuseki clan lives in the woods and we're like a town over. Like, it'd be easy for them to find us. You know what I'm saying? So, it does seem a little sus.
It was on top of the mountain, just through the woods. The whole family was bound to be there.
But we didn't make it that far.
Second I ascertained this, I stormed into the forest myself. I pushed further and further into the forest toward the mountains after having taken the sword we kept in the storage with me, just in case. I never experienced battle for myself because I was born and raised in a peaceful village. And it was better to be safe than sorry.
Maybe that's why they also turn him into a vessel, because they're like, shit, you did no battle, but you kicked that guy's ass.
I need to protect my family if anything happens. Determined, I continued running through the forest as darkness closed in all around me.
Dramatic.
Something came flying from behind me. It grazed my cheek, spraying red blood everywhere before sticking into the roots of a tree. It was a kunai. I didn't understand what I was seeing at the time.
So are we in the clearing where he got attacked?
My cheek smarted. I could feel a searing heat there, like I'd been scorched by a flame. Still in disbelief, I looked back in the direction the kunai had come from, but all I saw was a deep, growing darkness. The attack didn't stop there. While I stood there shaken, they threw yet another kunai at me. I deflected it with my sword, now drawn, and took off running into the forest a second time. My goal, the Hakuseki clan's settlement, was just up ahead. Whoever's attacking me must be from the clan. Did they already take out everyone else? Because then... In that instant, pain seared through my left leg. Before I knew it, I collapsed onto the ground. When I glanced at my injury, I found a kunai deeply embedded in my flesh.
Well, you think these are Tominari's regrets and, like, whatever?
Damn. Why? How did this happen? Is she... Are they safe? I sensed someone approaching me. Bearing through the pain, I looked up to face them. And there, standing before me...
Farewell.
Their voice never reached my ears. For the moment the pursuer's lips formed that word, I felt cold steel bite into my neck.
So they killed Tominari, but then he was born as a vessel. So, okay, all right, hold on. Okay, well, all right, so Tominari doesn't know really what happened. And also, when I gotta give the bird a potty break because he's been sitting with me patiently for a while, before I started recording, and then now. Sorry, buddy, sorry. So this is his trauma right here. This is all about him. So that's interesting, though. Okay. So he didn't try to save my mom and then she died or whatever. He was trying to come after us and then he got attacked and died. So he would have been turned back into perhaps a form folk. But what they said about Kiyoshiro was like, we can never turn him into a form folk or a vessel again because the glove was too damaged. But if Tominari wasn't, obviously, then they could turn him back into a vessel. Interesting. Did I read this? Anyway,
that's all I remember. Your family disappeared 12 years ago when they went to rescue you from the Hakuseki clan. The kunai left here must have been thrown at me. I guess there's a lot of emotional imprints here because this is where I lost my life.
Poor Tominari, he already died once. So then, who killed you, Tominari?
Hakuseki. I think I couldn't see their face very well because it was dark at the time, but still, who else would have found it necessary to kill me?
Hibie? I think it was him. The shocking truth Tominari just revealed had left me speechless. The truth about what happened 12 years ago. It all happened because the Hakuseki clan had kidnapped none other than myself. My mom, dad, and even Tominari had all attempted to return to the settlement to get me back.
You probably don't remember the past because of something that happened to you back then.
Which would be devastating because we were kidnapped, and then our mom probably was murdered. Our dad escaped with me, and then we lost Tominari too. He was part of our family. Like, we lost a lot that night. You mean they hit me on the head or something?
I have no idea. It's entirely possible you saw something that would have proven problematic for them if you remembered it. That said, you lived with Munenori afterwards, so you must have been saved.
Unless I'm a ghost.
All we can do is guess since you don't remember it yourself.
My mind was in utter chaos. Still, a few things Tominari had said didn't sound quite right to me. How did you become a vessel then, Tominari? If this is where you lost your life, your Inro would have been dropped here too.
Good question. I honestly have no idea since I wasn't conscious between dying and becoming a vessel.
In the end, Tominari's memories didn't hold the answer to everything either. I mean, he wouldn't remember, but like that's what Yoshimune would be for. What in the world happened to my mom? What happened to me when I was little? And why had the shogunate been in possession of Tominari's Inro? Because they might have, somehow they would have found it. You know what I mean? Don't they have like shamans or whatever to be like, oh, sensing a vessel? You know what I mean? So, especially if they were looking for the Hakuseki clan or something, right? They would have known where they were. They might have come across him. Like, I mean, there's plausibility in this. I don't think. I mean, obviously, I don't believe Tominari would lie, or his memories are fake. You know what I mean? His Inro would have dropped and been left here, and somebody could have found it. You know what I mean? Somebody could have been in the woods and like, oh, cool, look at this thing. I could sell this, and then next thing you never know. To find out the answer,
We have to go back to Ito. Hakusekis would have known the truth about what happened, but they've already been wiped out. No sense in searching the woods any further. The only way to know the truth is to ask Lord Yoshimune. He said he was an acquaintance of Munenori's. Maybe he knows the whole story. Let me ask you one more time, Spacey. Are you ready to return to Ito?
when we fled from Ito, Tominari had pulled me by the hand and led the way. It was the best he could have done, the only thing he could have done to protect me. But now Tominari was studying the look on my face to make sure I was on board. Instead of pulling me by the hand, he seemed to see me as a colleague, as his equal. Of course I am. If we want to know the truth or want to apologize to everyone, then we absolutely have to go back to Ito. I'm not afraid of anything with you by my side, Tominari.
Spacey.
Also, I want to live in the here and now with you, Tominari. I really don't remember a single thing about the past. I don't recall anything about the relationship we had when I was a little kid. What matters to me, what I want to keep safe, is what we have now. So, come on, let's go back home together. Tominari smiled when I declared this. He looked a bit pleased. The next day, once we'd finished packing up all our things, we left the village to return to Ito once more. Everyone who'd looked after us was gathered at the entrance. Spacey, you're really leaving the village? This is all so sudden. Yes, we have to leave. Thank you for everything you did for us during our stay. I see. Well, I'll miss you. We really hit it off, too.
You're hitting the road with somewhere specific in mind, aren't you?
Well, of course.
I see. Good for you, then. You both looked so grim when we first met, I assumed you were here to carry out a suicide pact. You're all smiles now. Much better than before.
I'm sure you'll be happy wherever you go. You guys, I could feel myself tearing up at the good-natured way they were all beaming at us. Maybe we'll come back. Because, like, this would be the perfect place to just settle down for the end of our lives, raise our kids here. I don't like kids. You know I don't like kids. But, like, Jesus Christ, in this period, there was no birth control. They would have been popping out kids, so whatever. So that's why everyone in the village was so kind to us. As long as they don't actually show it in the game, you can infer that. Fine. But, like, this is where we want to settle down. We'd come back here. Come on, you know? They thought we came here looking for somewhere to die. We certainly had been deep in the throes of despair when we arrived in this village. I'd been rooted to the spot, fixated on the sins I'd committed, while dragging Tominari down with me in his effort to save me. The warm reception they'd given us helped Tominari and I set our sights on the future once more.
Let's get going then, shall we?
After saying goodbye to all the villagers, we started walking down the main road. Our destination? Ito, obviously, oh my god. Where we still had unfinished business. Our journey back to Ito went smoothly. We urged the horse to get back a tiny bit faster, passing through multiple post stations on the way. As we got closer to Ito, however, the scenery quickly became very eerie. The weather looks pretty bad. I see pitch black clouds swirling in the sky.
You do? Well, sure, it's cloudy, but I don't see any black clouds anywhere.
Huh? Everywhere I looked, dark storm clouds that kept any light from coming through hung low in the sky. You done fucked up, man. Ito's covered in evil. It's Evedo now. Evildo. They were so ominous, just looking at them made me feel anxious. He can't see the clouds?
Putting that aside for now, there's a lot of people here. I don't remember it being this busy when we came here earlier.
Tominari looked away from the sky, then took in the scene around him with great interest. Refugees. There was a huge crowd of people coming and going in a hurry. The giant chests and bundles they were holding made it abundantly clear. They were moving.
Excuse me, what's all the fuss about?
Isn't it obvious? We ran away from Ito!
Ran from Ito?
What? Don't you know Ito's a huge mess right now? You know how strange monsters have been appearing in Ito for a while? A huge swarm of them closed in on Ito out of nowhere. I probably would have died if I stayed in Ito any longer. Glad I managed to escape.
Ow, Bird! Jesus! Jackass! Fuck you! You're an asshole! That hurt! You don't bite like that!
Anywho, I gotta get going. Be careful if you're heading to Ito.
With that, he joined the rest of his family and left in a hurry.
Sounds like the battle against the Blightfall has become pretty intense. I hope there haven't been any casualties.
More? I couldn't find anything to say back right away when Tominari murmured this, sounding worried. Because I finally understood what I was seeing.
Spacey, you've been looking up at the sky. Is something wrong?
Tominari, I get it now. I get it! It's not bad weather after all. The emotional imprints have reached the sky and formed what looks like a giant storm cloud. If I look closely, I can see black threads swirling around in the sky.
Are you serious?
I wouldn't dare joke about something like that. They're definitely concentrated in the skies over Ito.
If you can see them this far from Ito, things must be pretty awful there.
Let's go, Tominari. We gotta hurry back and help everyone.
You got it.
Jeep! I hope you're okay, guys. If we go back and anybody else died, I'm gonna be fucking mad. We took off on our horse once more. I looked up at the cheerless sky while sitting there in front of Tominari, keeping my worries locked away inside my heart. Listen. I'm still not over Kyoshiro. God damn, what the fuck? Like a tornado leveled this place. Then we arrived in Ito. Oh, so sad. No way.
What in the...
The town looked nothing like I remembered. A majority of the houses and buildings were in ruins. Streets that had once been brightly lit by lanterns in the daytime were now shrouded in deep darkness. There were zero signs of life. Webs of emotional imprints stretched all across town. It had been completely, utterly destroyed. It was so much more dismal than anything we'd imagined. Tominari and I were left speechless. What was that just now?
Shh! Be quiet.
We stooped down and took cover when we heard an earth-splitting roar. Then we looked back at where the sound had come from. A huge blightfall was lording itself around. The blightfall Tanichibo had summoned had been fairly large, but this one was easily much bigger. Unlike other blightfall, which crawled around in the ground like spiders, This one walked on two legs like a person. It had grown limbs as thick as giant tree trunks, which were long enough to drag on the ground. I- Is that a blightfall? The thing is, Tominari can do nothing, because he's got his heart and his memories back, so.
Probably. Only a blightfall could possibly have that many black threads wrapped around it. Oh, also, look.
I looked in the direction Tominari indicated and saw normal blightfall chasing after the large one like some kind of pack. I seemed to be following it. What's going on here? Why are there so many blightfall?
Maybe they weren't able to keep up. Maybe there's just that many blightfalls spawning. Either way, it's clearly not a good situation.
I never thought things would get this bad. I had no regrets about the path I'd chosen, but seeing this made me feel so guilty. This is no time to be standing around. Even in a situation like this, I need to think about what I can do to help. I wonder who's talking to us. Someone's saying, "Hey, that's no safe place to hide! Hurry up and get out of here!" Huh? I know that voice. I figured it was someone we knew, but I have no idea who. I promptly turned around when I heard a familiar voice. Standing there was... Tojo? No, it's Yoichi.
Huh? You two?
Yoichi?
Why are you here?
Oh, well, this is Samurai Town, or supposed to be, right? Or no, is this Castle Town? No, we were in Samurai. This is Castle Town.
I could say the same thing. Didn't think I'd find you here. You are the real deal, yeah? Yes, I swear it upon my vessel mark.
I'm sorry for all the trouble we caused you. It took us a while, but we're back.
Well.
What were you doing, Yuichi?
I'm just patrolling the city. Gotta make sure everyone made it out. You know, what with all this?
Yuichi looked back at the devastated city with a shrug. He'd seemed surprised to reunite with us at first, but Yuichi's attitude hadn't changed one bit. Here I thought he'd criticize us or capture us. Where did all the residents go?
Relax. We rounded everybody up, Oniwaban and Ito residents included. We're all camped out at Chiyoda Castle. Can't really live a normal life with all these blightfall out.
I found myself looking over at Chiyoda Castle. Compared to the city, which was virtually in ruins, the castle seemed to be in the same shape as before. Despite having emotional imprints all over it, the lights were on and it didn't seem to be under attack.
Why is the castle safe? Is there a barrier in place there?
Then why isn't the Oniwaban base safe?
Yeah, it's a bit stronger than the one we had around the base.
Well, there you go.
The Blightfall can't detect it, which has thankfully kept casualties to a minimum. That's a relief. Anyway, I'm guessing you came back because you felt like talking things out.
Yes, of course. Do you think we'd be allowed to meet with the Oniwaban and Lord Yoshimune?
Fine, come with me. It's like, what are we gonna do? Leave you out here with a Blightfall? That'd be kind of douchey of us.
Yuichi glanced at us, then started walking toward the castle. The huge Blightfall continued strutting around without even realizing we existed. You're like, are we just gonna walk right past it?
Yeah, that's Ted. Whatever, he's fine.
Inside Chiyoda Castle, after walking past a few wary samurai, we entered the hall to find throngs of citizens resting there. Screaming children and adults, heads hung low in the corner. We didn't know exactly what had happened over the last few months. However, one look around the room was all it took to tell everyone had given up hope. Feels very poignant right about now, doesn't it? You really are living inside the castle. Is everyone here?
Everyone left in Ito, yeah? Most left immediately. I wish everyone could have. Most of the people left are children and anyone who wasn't in a position to leave.
I see.
The Oniwaban are further in. Still gotta protect the man himself, you know.
Yoichi continued making his way further into the castle while he explained all this to us. You know, it's kind of nice, though, that the shogunate's like, get everyone out, and the people you can't get out, get them fucking in this castle. Not like, Oh, it's too bad that the Blightfall are killing my citizens while I'm in my ivory tower. He actually gives a fuck. It's just nice to see, because you don't get a lot of that, do you? Then,
Wait, is that you, Spacey?
the second I heard a familiar voice ring out, Maharu came running out from one of the rooms. Mimi? With Ito in the state it was, I never thought I'd get to see her again. I let out a sigh of relief the moment I saw that she was as healthy as ever. You better hug her so fucking hard that you choke her to death. When I waved, glad to see her as well, she gave me a big, forceful hug. She fucking better.
Where have you been? Have you been eating well? Are you hurt? I'm so sorry. Apparently you were really worried about something and I had no clue.
It didn't seem like Maharu blamed us in the slightest for disappearing into thin air. Her warm, kind-hearted words instantly made me tear up. Mimi, I'm so sorry for making you worry. You're not hurt, are you, Mimi? Is your boss okay?
He's fine. The stall's a right mess, but we're all safe. And no need to apologize. I'm just glad that you're okay. Thanks for keeping her safe all this time, Tominari. I was so relieved when I heard you were with her.
Oh, no. I didn't do anything to be thanked for. In fact, I'm sorry I didn't consult you before taking Spacey with me, Maharu. You're her family, after all.
You're our family, too! Aw, all three of us.
Oh, sure.
Right after giving him a rather vague, absent-minded response, Maharu turned back around at me.
Spacey, is there something different about Tominari?
Yeah, kind of. The seal on Tominari's heart did break, but Maharu only became part of my family once it was just me and Dad. She had no idea Tominari's part of my family too, or what happened back then. While reflecting on this, I saw someone familiar out of the corner of my eye. It's probably because if it's a kid saying mother, it's going to be Chie.
Mother, will it ever truly be peaceful again?
Keep faith. I'm sure the Shogun will do something about it. It's Chie. That must have been her son beside her. The moment I spotted them, I couldn't breathe for a split second out of shock. I shook my head to push all those thoughts out of my mind, then took off running. You know, I don't know what you're trying to do, because I put my hand here for you to curl into, but you keep, like, putting your foot up on my finger and then putting another foot up like you're going to climb my hand, but then you're not, and then you bite me. And it's like, they're not like, they're like he's nibbling, but they're very hard nibbles. Like he's taking a big chunk on my hand instead of like a little bite that like really fucking hurts. It's a big chunk, but it's a little too hard, and you're like, ow, the fuck? You're being a dick. Like, settle down. You're being very bitey lately. You're just a grumpy, bratty bird. You're 11 years old. You're supposed to be past your terrible twos. You're getting into your terrible teens. You're getting into your cunty tweens, I guess. Like, what the fuck? You're being a bit of a dick. He's like, I'm just sitting here now being good. Now you've calmed down and you're being good, but Jesus. Earlier you pooped on me and you know better. He's been a bastard all day. You've been a bastard for the past few days. Like, you're cute most of the time, but you've had a lot more bastard moments than you normally do. All I'm saying. Anyway. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be right back.
Spacey, wait!
Chie. To me, the Tamba family represented my sins just as much as Kyoshiro did. That's why I couldn't ignore it, come what may. I needed to face this head on. Excuse me, Chie. It's you. I ran over, breath ragged. Chie stared at me in disbelief. She was our friend in Tojo's route. Kyoshiro was alive in Tojo's route, too. All either of us could manage to do for a while was stand there in silence. I wasn't sure what to say, despite having gotten her attention. I'm glad they're safe. But if I say something now, I'll just end up apologizing. The last thing I want to do is make excuses for myself. Chie slowly stood up while all this was going through my mind. In stark contrast with my panicked demeanor, she was quiet and terribly somber. I didn't think you'd ever come back. The other Oniwaban told me you'd run away from Ito. Yes. As I mentioned before, I don't blame you for not being able to protect my husband. I can't. I can tell the enemy is incredibly powerful given the state of Ito today. Protecting my husband would have been a tall order for the two of you alone. Be that as it may, you abandoned your duties and ran away. At this point, what have you come back to do exactly? And I go, she's like, I know you didn't. There's no way you could have protected my husband, but you still defected, bitch! Fair. Her remarks weren't nasty or cutting. It seemed like she was genuinely wondering why. She looks a little disappointed with us. The only thing I could do was answer her honestly. To do whatever I could to help. Which is, what would that be in a situation like this? I know there has to be something. At this point, I understand if you don't believe me when I say this. I've done things that can't be undone. As long as there are still people to be helped, however, I'd like to assist. It's the least I can do to make up for it. I do like that in this route, they made us, like, wishy-washy instead of determined. We had to find our determination, you know what I mean? Because all the other routes were like, man, this is really difficult, but it's okay, we're gonna get through it! And she's always been like a powerhouse. And that's usually the way the main characters are. They're like, yes, we'll do this. We can do it, guys. And we're going to rally everyone. And we're like a little ball of sunshine. And in this one, she's like, yeah, I know. There's people. And the Tominari's like, you want to run away? And she's like, yes. So it's partially on him because none of our other like vessels would have been like, you want to run away? They would have been like, yeah, well, suck it up. And then we would have been like, I got to suck it up. And then we would have found our spirit and been like, we can do this, guys. But this, like, Tominari let us cave and have a weak moment where we ran away. And now we're like, ooh, that wasn't good. But it's a very human thing to sometimes need to just curl up in a ball in a corner and cry. You know what I mean? You can't always be fucking strong. So I kind of like that she had, like, the weak bitch moment. Because, like, again, I don't have one of these moments, like, at least once a day. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's kind of interesting that they chose to do it, and I like it. And to be fair, the way they wrote this was like, there's a lot of heavy shit. I mean, we saw people die, and there was lots of other shit going on in every other route, but this one felt a little darker, you know? Heavier. Chie stood there in silence after I'd explained how I felt. Her lips pursed in a thin, tight line, and I don't even mean Mr. Tanba and the other dude who got brutally mauled, and we were like, there's gaping holes in them. That was harsh. But then the Kyoshiro death, you were like, nope, nope, nope. You made me cry, game. I absolutely wanted to peace out as well. That's it. We're done. Game was not. Nope. It ended horribly, and I didn't want to finish it. Oh, poor Tominari. Perhaps she had nothing left to say to me. Based on the different colors her threads were flashing, she had mixed emotions about what I'd said. Chie slowly opened her mouth to speak when...
You about done? I don't have all day here.
Yuichi, who had come late, interrupted us. Our time was up. Tominari also put his hand on my shoulder, urging me to hurry.
Let's go, Spacey.
Sure.
I'll see you around, Chie.
Chie watched us go in silence as we left the hall behind us. She's going to tell us what she's going to say later, probably, I hope. Maybe. Or maybe it's not poignant enough. But anyway, we're going to go see Yoshimune and everybody. You think he's just going to be sitting there with, like... Okay. I would love it and hate it at the same time if you go in to see him and Kyoshiro's glove is just there, like, always with him, like he keeps it with him. Because then you'd be like, that's so sad, I would do the same thing, and I hate you for making me feel so bad right now, Gabe. But also you'd be like, that's so sweet and adorable. Aww. Look at Lord Yoshimune being so sad about Kyoshiro that just wants to keep him with him, and that's just so precious. But it would hurt like hell, but it'd be so beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, to be fair, If you were Lord Yoshimura, you'd probably have that glove in a little box stuck somewhere safe in your room so it could never get any more damaged than it ever was. You know what I mean? You'd be like, it's like wrapped in like silk and like put in a nice little in a beautiful decorated box on a shelf somewhere, and people like, that's a very lovely. Don't touch it. That's my best friend. You know what? That's my robot that died. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.